What up, yos? How's everybody doing? Well, I thought I'd give you a short, real quick walk through the garden here. It's been raining for a week, and then it was super hot today. We had a market and a CSA drop off this morning. Uh, we're getting a little bit behind, but uh, we'll go ahead and give you a tour. Megan and the girls been working on the entryway. They haven't quite decided how they're going to paint it there. If you guys got any ideas what it should say across the front there or whatever, just leave a comment down below. Uh, we got the fence around the garden up on two sides. I need this front side and this side over here complete. Now here on this corner, this is garlic that we started this spring. We didn't get any in the ground last fall, but I wanted to get some in the spring for some green garlic. I made the mistake of using wheat straw to mulch that bed. As you can see, we're getting quite a bit of wheat coming through there. I should have never done that. Oh, here's some wood sorrel. Girls love this stuff right here. Sweetsies, we used to call it. It's good stuff right there. Got our American flags out there. And this perimeter bed here, we got what's left over the white icicle radishes. Got some turnips, leftover mulch right there, some beets. This is going to be the last little bit of peas for this part of the season right here. All them other ones are starting to die back down through there. At one point, that the whole fence had peas all the way up it. Our ginormous rhubarb leaves. Barely any stems, like 6 inches long, and that's it. That ain't cool. Whatever, it's still an awesome plant. I love that thing. Tomatoes in cages there. Those are Brad's Atomic, I believe. Megan wanted to grow them. Got those seeds from Baker Creek. This bed right here originally had Salanova in it, but we've used all of it for our CSA boxes. And the landscape fabric I had in it didn't quite reach the edge of that bed, so I was like, well, there's a place for some onions. Those are some pretty good onions. I want you to... That thing right there is beautiful. Got kale on the outside wall there with some onions interplanted. That right there is some weeds I got to get out. That's a kale mix for us to eat at home. A little bit of celery growing right there. Peppers where the radishes were originally at. More celery, and then a bunch of onions interplanted where the some of the broccoli, the early broccoli, was in this bed. We're going to have to start harvesting them onions and pull that broccoli out. See that white cabbage butterfly flying through the air there? It's starting to get into the cabbage there. If you've seen, we haven't sprayed these with anything or anything, and they're done anyway, so we're just going to pull them out. And if you recall, this bed right here was our trial bed where we was trialing some different greens mixes. We went ahead and planted tomatoes back into here after we pulled all that out. These ones here need staked. It all needs weeded too because it's been raining nonstop, and them weeds taken off. That bed across from us there is a asparagus bed, and that's for us too. Got a volunteer or some sort of squash right there, it looks like, or zook. Another kale bed with some red cabbage planted down the middle. That bed there had our romaine in it, and it's starting to bolt. So we'll be pulling that out and cleaning it up. I want you to look at this here, though. I've tried to stay on top of this bed, and look. I've tried to stay on top of this bed and still get this weed right here. This thing's almost as bad as a creeping Charlie. That weed right there is called Gallant Soldier, otherwise known as quickweed. And it grows really fast. Now, it's really easy to pull, so it's not too bad of a deal. But I try to to get it as early as I can, because I read that if you can see the yellow in that flower there, it's already opened up and it was released like 10,000 seeds already. So the more of them we can get rid of, the better. And speaking of weeds, each year I try to do a little bit better. But even if I keep most of the weeds out of the garden, the area around the garden sometimes has weeds and those seeds blow in. Like back here at the creek, you can see I need to do a better job of staying on top of the creek, because that Gallant Soldier gets over by the creek and then it just spreads its seeds everywhere. But we're working on that, and we're not too far from the hillside here, but it doesn't usually grow up there. So onion bed's almost played out. We've been harvesting it every week for the market and our CSA customers. This bed right here has always been planted in tomatoes. That's Sun Gold. One of the girls' giant sunflowers is coming up, but that seems like an awful little head and awful short to be a giant sunflower. This romaine bed is done. We're going to pull it because it is definitely going to seed. And this bed's been planted out with peppers since we could plant them in the spring. Beautiful marigold there in the middle. This is a bed that a couple years ago I had some Bloody Butcher corn in and let it grow, but I had a hard time weeding it. And as you can see, this is one of the worst beds for the weeds. So that just shows you that if you stay on top of it, it helps cut them down for the next year. And we're going to have to weed that bed. There's another volunteer squash plant or something. Radishes there. This bed had Salanova. It's played out. We got to pull it and start something new there. This here's an herb bed. Got all of our herbs in there and some marigolds. And this, more of that weed. Yep, missed it right there. Stevia and basil and parsley and lemon balm and rosemary again. Stevia over there. Carrot bed. 2 different kinds of carrots here. Had to plant this one twice, so that's why that one there's taller than this side. Something got in the front side of that bed and tore it all up. Let's take a sneak peek here at the look at the shoulders of these. Starting to look pretty good. Yep, to the shoulder of that one there. Peas about giving up on this side. It's a big old mammoth sunflower there behind all this comfrey here. More peas played out there. Had onions planted there, pulled them, got to replant that. There's a little bit of shard there too, I think. And what's this? Creeping back here. Oh my gosh, it's Big Feet's. Little Big Feet statue down there. More radishes here in front, and we've changed that out 2 or 3 times between radishes and greens and things. There's some more shard right there. It's not rainbow, it's just regular shard. We have this fallow spot right here where I gotta get them weeds burnt, but we used to have a compost bin there, so that should be some good dirt once we get a bed made. You know, once we can afford the wood to build a bed. That right there is Johnny's Premium's green mix, but you can see it's going to seed and it's got a bunch of that weed in it. So we'll cut that all out and sterilize that bed and start over. Now I think we'll step on over, which is one thing I'm going to miss about doing once I get that fence put up, is being able to just step over to the outside of the bed. We'll step over to the greenhouse now. And this is the nursery greenhouse that we put all of our starts in once we get them out of the house. Got our leftover tomato hanging baskets from the cells hanging there. Got some quite a bit of tomatoes on them, but they do get dried out pretty quick. It gets about 100 degrees in here every day. Couple few strawberries in our strawberry basket we had left over there. That's cool. Pepper starting on our pepper in the pot. Got tomatoes and grow baskets, some buckets on each side down through here. Some tomatoes on the side. Tiny Tom tomatoes growing that we couldn't sell. We just planted them, and now we got some red tomatoes. Got a kale mix that's grown into full-size kale there. It's starting to get stripped off there if you look. Some bugs in there. We haven't sprayed it either, but we're going to have and pull it out because some of these varieties in this mix that we got said they were best at baby leaf stage, so they're not the best in the world. Tomatoes there. And you can see on this side, bunch of that creeping Charlie growing outside. We got to get that under control. I was kind of letting it grow because last year a bunch of grass grew up out there and it blew weed seed in, or grass seed, I mean. You can see all that grass growing up, so we got to get it taken care of before it takes off. But it's been raining non-stop. Actually looks like it might rain this evening, and I got to work my day job for the next 6 days straight. So then I'm on vacation. That wasn't fun. I'm out here barefoot trying the ground, and we had just moved silage tarp, and I was going to walk over it, and I crap you not, we rolled it over a rake or something, and I stepped right on it, and it went up in between my two toes. So that's great. Anyway, like I was saying, I got to work the next 6 days at my day job, then I'm on my vacation, so then we should get a bunch of stuff done. Hopefully. And that rake thing reminds me of a thing where Mike the Fit Farmer the other day was talking about how he tries to teach his kids to, if you leave tools out, you put them with the tines down so nobody gets hurt. And that's exactly what I was telling my kids. And I know for a fact that I'm the one that left that rake that way. So that's my own fault. So be warned. We'll get this spot right here turned up today. It'd been turned before. Hadn't grown anything in it in a year or two. I don't know what we're going to do there yet. Maybe we got to get some beans in the ground. Got little potatoes growing in Bootstrap Farmer bags. The big old tomato plants. Big old tomato plants. There's a pepper or two in there somewhere. There's a patio tomato. We've gotten quite a few tomatoes off of that already. And I want to talk about this. The girls wanted to make an archway somehow out of giant sunflowers. So we planted some on this side and some on this side. And we're hoping to be able to cross them over each other and kind of weave them and see if they'll make an arch. But I don't know. Might be more of a triangle. We'll see. I'm telling you, my foot still hurts. That's unfortunate. Anti-till out there or whatever. But the ground is made of clay here, and it is rough. But this dirt right here, we used to have a regular garden here. Oh, and it feels nice to ground in it. It's a little bit moist underneath from the rain. It dried out on the surface from the hot day we had today. Man, it's almost as good as walking on the beach. All right, let's go in the market garden. Now, we've had this landscape fabric down in the same place for a few years and haven't taken it up. So it looks a little rough, but it's got a little bit of debris and stuff on it. And we sell a lot of kale. This whole row here, well, not the whole row, almost half the row is kale, plus the kale over there. And a lot of this broccoli in this row, we had harvested for our CSA customers and sold a little bit, but you can see it's going to seed. It gets really hot here, and it was growing in the black landscape fabric, so that probably didn't help. And we should have harvested more than what we did at a time and tried to sell it, but we were really only taking what we needed. So we used this row. We planted them at 2 different times. There's a sneaky one right there. See, and these have already bolted and going to seed. And then these got decimated by some bugs after we harvest them. So what we think we might try is, I've got this tarped over here, and it gets way more shade over there. And there was a lot of sunlight and heat on this side or on this 2 rows during the day, and there's a lot more shade over there, and it stays cooler, and it's like more toward the evening when it starts to cool back down that's actually getting a lot of sunlight. And we've already taken that row out. There was that drip line there. We got to weed it, but we got in a cart here to go in the compost pile. Those are leftover cabbages and cabbage leaves and cabbage plants, and we got a few more left here to go through. The purple seems to be doing a lot better against the bugs in the heat, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, look at that again. All that broccoli seems like a waste, and it almost went straight to seed without heading up very big. I don't know, maybe try a more heat resistant variety, or like I said, try it maybe in a shadier area, or maybe with a white landscape fabric, or just plant more of it in the regular garden so it doesn't have to sit on this hot landscape fabric. Look at that. That weed right there will grow anywhere. Like, it's coming up right here where the staples are at. It does get a little bit better every year, so I'm trying to nip it in the bud, so we'll see. You got cucumbers there. They need clipped up. They're starting to get wild on us. We got to stay on top of it, or we'll just let them go. Zucchini and squash there in the back, getting ready to come through. If we look at that one right there, there is a teeny tiny squash there. I hope it got pollinated. Now, a lot of times with the squash and the zucchini, the first few on the plant will lose due to poor pollination or some kind of blossom rot or something. But it ain't too bad, because like, if you've ever grown squash and zucchini, it's like bam, caught up the next day. You really have to stay on top of them. All right, now here we got our cherry tomatoes. We got a floor to weave them back up. This first row here's going. Look at that weed coming up where my pole's at. Man, it's crazy, I tell you what. But it's coming up really good, strong, and healthy. So I think that means that the ground is fertile. Just checking these squash for damage while I'm out here, or bug damage. That comes next after this white cabbage butterfly, or the cabbage looper moth. Starts with the squash bug, so we're going to keep an eye on them. Peppers planted on the end. They seem like they're pretty far behind. I don't know. We were a little bit late getting them in. I don't know. I think we'll have to rely on the ones in the actual garden for a little bit. As you can tell, we're using the landscape fabric here. We got some extra spots here we ain't got planted yet, and holes burnt. And we're using drip tape off of a mainline header up here. All right, I just wanted to touch base and let everybody know how far along we've gone. We haven't had a whole lot to sell at our farmers markets, which a couple of them kind of been rained out. We showed up anyway because we have CSA drop-offs. But we're going to have to start growing more, or learn how to grow more, or just plain old grow more, because I'm having a hard time keeping up with both. I mean, we give out, well, we don't give out. We sold 10 boxes for CSA. So feeding 10 families right now for this first round. We have a summer CSA that starts up and runs to September. And it's up to like 13 or 14 people. So that's exciting. So just have to keep trying to grow on and grow bigger and grow stronger. Uh-oh. There's Sophie hiding in the background, walking the dog, Harley. Say hi, Sophie. Hi. All right, till next time, guys. Have a good one.